So already a busy day for markets as USDA out with the export sales report, weekly export sales report. We'll break that down in just a moment. Coming up at 12 noon Eastern time, World Ag Supply Demand Estimate or WASDE report. This is a monthly report and also a monthly crop progress report. So that's coming up for us at 12 o'clock Eastern time. Let's go to the markets. Overnight action after settling higher across the board, really all the row crops yesterday. The only things I could find that settled in the red yesterday, coffee and sugar, and that's it. So corn in the overnight session, 452. That was a penny and a quarter higher. What about the beans? Beans, 3 3/4 higher, $10 and just under 10.01, so a 3/4 of a cent added to that $10. By the way, that's always one of the toughest ones, trying to explain what is that quote. Well, it's $10 and 0.75 cents. So anyway, let's move to the wheat market. July contract, 558 1/4. That's 2.5 higher. Hard red, also in positive territory, 583 1/2, up 3 1/4 in the overnight session. Spring wheat, 3.5 higher, 653 1/4. And the cotton market, 47 higher, 68.94 for new crop cotton. All right, let's go to Springfield, Missouri. President, Midwest Market Solutions is Brian Hoops. Brian, the no flash sales overnight, but the export sales report out.
Yeah, good morning, Tony. What a historic day yesterday was, and this morning we're good to see that the grains are following through because of the tariffs being pulled back to 10% on a majority of these countries outside of China. Our export sales numbers this morning, nothing to brag about whatsoever. So a little bit negative, but yet we were still able to close the night session higher. Corn came in at 30.9 million bushels. That is a 13-week low. Soybeans, we saw only 6.3 million bushels. That's a marking year low. And we also saw some cancellations showing up. An unknown destination canceled about 9.4 million bushels of previously purchased soybeans. We haven't seen it on a flash sales basis yet, but it is showing up in our weekly export numbers. And then our wheat was pretty disappointing as well. Wheat only 3.9 million bushels for this marking year, and for the new marking year, 4 million bushels. So nothing great whatsoever. ConAb was out this morning, and they increased the Brazilian corn production number up to 124.7 million tons, up from 122.7, a full 2 million ton jump from their previous numbers. And soybean production at 167.8, up just slightly, about 500,000 ton from their previous numbers. Of course, we'll get all new updated numbers at 11 o'clock this morning from the USDA when they do their supply and demand report. It'll include South American production numbers. I don't think there's going to be any real big surprises coming out of that report, but it may move the market a little bit. But we're really, I think, focused on weather as we get into spring planting, which looks pretty much wide open for the next several weeks, and then as well as South American weather, and of course these tariff talks that can move the markets on a dime.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back in a moment. We'll talk livestock futures. Market Day report continues in a moment. So what's the value of something? Kind of had to learn this the hard way. I thought I had something that was worth quite a bit, but I could never get anybody to offer me enough money for it, so I never sold it. Well, that helped me to understand a key principle. The value of something is only what somebody will give you for it, right? Well, the Packers are trying to get cattle this week. The bids are $204 in the south, they're $208 in the north, but the asking price is $210 in the south, $212 to $215 in the north. We'll find out the value of those cattle sometime before the end of the week. Now, yesterday we saw a big rally in the live cattle market, and the April contract gained 370, 202.80 a hundredweight. And roll out 198.37 on the June. That was $4.75 higher. Now for the feeders, April contract up 332, 283.75, and a $6.47 gain on the May at 278.20. Hog trade in action yesterday. Again, probably don't pay a whole lot of attention to that front month or the May contract. Most action in June at 91.70. That was a $1.92 higher. And I'll segue here over quickly to the equity markets, where the Dow saw its biggest rally in 5 years yesterday, settling higher. We're kind of in the red this morning. The NASDAQ gained 3.4% of its value, and most of that came yesterday because we had been in the red for the entire week. A little lower as we start the morning. The S&P, where are we? A little lower. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, talking about the equities and the stock market, are we moving lower on maybe some news this morning?
Yeah, I think we are. We had, like you said, a historic day yesterday that spilled over into the cattle market. It was trading lower at one time and then shot higher following the lead of the equities markets yesterday. CPI numbers came out this morning, and boy, were these ice cold. These are some good numbers. Inflation is dropping. We're the lowest levels, I think, in 4 years as far as the CPI numbers go. We're down 6 basis points, meaning instead of 3% inflation that we saw 3 months ago, it's now 2.4%. And that is less than what the trade had expected. So those are some really good inflationary numbers telling us inflation is going down here in the United States, not going up. And yet the market didn't really respond to those positive numbers. I think it anticipates that with these good job growth numbers that we've seen earlier this month and these inflation numbers, it gives the U.S. the upper hand in these tariff negotiations and can continue to press that. And the market, really doesn't like that. It likes the pause. Doesn't like uncertainty. It wants rate cuts, and maybe those are to come down the road. But you may don't need a rate cut when you have inflation already cooling. So right now, stock market probably giving back some of those big gains. I think you can expect to see that in the cattle market. When we open this morning, we're probably going to be down just a little bit, giving back some of the gains. It seems like we're just mirroring whatever that stock market does in the cattle market. There was just a handful of trade yesterday. We should report some 204, very light trade in Kansas, and 328 to 330 in Nebraska. Again, very light handfuls of trade. We're going to see the abundance of trade here in the next couple of days. And no doubt those asking prices have firmed after yesterday's rally compared to where we were 24 hours ago in the morning hours of yesterday.
Okay, so we get that WASDE report. We'll get a crop production report later today. Means one thing. How about we see you in the morning and we'll dissect some of those numbers. Brian Hoops is with Midwest Market Solutions.